What is up, you guys? This is Mini Superheroes Today, and welcome to the Republic Studs Show.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Republic Stud Show podcast. We have been going great on this series. We've had some great episodes, and today we have a very special person, someone who I've talked to for quite a while now. Actually, a really great guy, one of the most awesome people I think in the community. And it is Mini Superheroes Today. How are you doing, man?
I'm well. I'm really looking forward to doing a little deep dive here today, and glad to be on the show. So thanks for having me, brother.
All right. Well, thank you. So I wanted to start right off. This is how we start off every podcast, and people have been liking it. So, what's your deal? How do you get involved in Lego? Just start from the beginning, from the top. How do you start? How do you get involved from whenever? Just start wherever you'd like.
Well, I remember getting my very first Lego set, which is usually on the shelf. Yep, here it is. It was this one, the Scorpion Tracker from the Johnny Thunder theme. And I remember I was with my babysitter, and I don't remember if she bought it for me or if my parents bought it for her to give to me, but this was my very first Lego set ever. And I just remember being enthralled with it, you know? It
Is
was
that the original
first
one?
toy. I'm sorry?
Is that the original one?
I wish it was my original one. No, I tracked down another one. But my original one was lost to the bin many years ago.
Sad.
But it was the first toy I ever had that really encapsulated me because I could tear it apart and turn it into something else or put my own spin on it. And that's still what captivates me about Lego today. Is it's the only toy that if you don't like what you get out of the box, you can turn it into whatever you want and put your own thumbprint on it. So, you know, all these years later, it still holds true, and it's been one of the few constants in my life that's been there from as early as I can remember till today. So it's made a huge impact on my life and my career too, and this set led me everywhere, so I try to keep it pretty prominently displayed somewhere I see it every day as I walk into my office, and just a nice reminder of how one toy can lead you anywhere.
Right. So I guess I'm gonna follow up. So you said your career, right? So like this is your full career doing Lego. Like so, what is your full career? Like describe it to us.
Sure. So I talk about my life as a triangle. I read a book in college that was about designing your life, and I really loved that concept. And so I talk pretty intentionally about the way I live my life and the way I've designed my life accordingly. So again, I talk about it like a triangle because I do three things. So, you know, the two bottom points and the top point of the triangle, but sometimes one thing comes on top, sometimes it changes. So I'm all three things, but it just depends what comes out on top on any given day. So, of course, here in the Lego corner of the internet, I'm a Lego content creator here on YouTube as well as TikTok and on Instagram, where I got started over 7 years ago, making daily content on Instagram. Jumped over to YouTube a couple years back and jumped over to TikTok about 2-ish years ago, and I've been doing daily content every single day for over 7 years, never missed a day. And that's really exciting. So that's the part that you guys know about here in this corner of the world. But I'm also a musician. I do 60s inspired pop music. So think along the lines of like the Beatles, the Beach Boys, a little Buddy Holly, Tom Petty kind of vibe. And also kind of Stacy's Mom kind of vibe, if you guys know that song. So a little bit of that. Wow. Modern flair thrown in there too.
You see, because I'm not like a big 60s music guy. Like the furthest I go with my music is like probably like the very beginning of this. Like Louis Prima, if that counts, but that's not really like 60s.
Oh yeah.
I have like the music senses of like a 90-year-old person. I don't know if you've seen my Instagram stories. For a while I did like my like music of the day, right? I like have a song, and it's like all old stuff. So like you perform, like you like you're in Nashville, right? So
yeah,
they have.
So these days I record more than I perform, just because you know COVID and the lockdowns kind of shifted what live performance was for a lot of people in my industry, and I've just kind of fallen in love with the writing and recording process of things. So but the last song I put out was actually called "No Way Home," which was of course based off of the movie.
It was a
So
stop
yeah,
motion, right? He did it
it,
he did like a stop motion with Spider-Man. I
yeah, I
watched
worked with
that when it
Joe
came
Motion
out.
Animation on that, and it's cool because I invited two of my friends to come and be on the song with me. So I'm Tom Holland. I have a friend that is the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, and a friend that's Toby. And the song kind of tells the story of the movie, and the animation goes with it. So you can check that out on my channel. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, that was great. And like, this fascinates me because like you do Lego things on one hand, you do the music on the other hand. You have a third thing. Like, what's that?
I do, yeah. So I do social media consulting and management. So what that means is for some people, I consult them on best practices for social media. I help them write campaigns, and that usually tends to be like in the entertainment space, but also in small business too. So like I work with a couple like small businesses like retail spots. I work with several music artists. Like right now, I'm working with an artist that is just launching his career. And then I've worked with some legacy people here in Nashville too. So it can really be anything in consulting in the social media space. And then I also have a team that works for me that we do social media management as well. So that can be everything from content creation to, brand Bible and styling and all of that stuff. So it's funny because it all comes full circle that my music career started when I was a young teenager, and that helped me learn a lot of the, networking and best practices and branding for my band back then. But then Many Superheroes Today helped me learn a lot of the social media side of things and the branding and content calendars and stuff that come with that. So like the music and Lego was a perfect marriage for the third part of my triangle. So I really love that every point of my life that's pretty big, like those three, is so synergistic and they kind of push and pull from each other. It makes for an interesting life, and I'm very grateful for the way things have played out and continue to play out.
You must have loved those new like the piano sets or the guitar sets. Like you must have had a field day with those. If you had to
Yeah, it
have
was a
them.
blast.
Okay, so like you said, you work with a couple like legacy people. Like, so are there any names people would recognize or?
In the legacy artist field,
Yes.
I don't really like to air, who I
Okay, if
work
you
with.
don't.
Usually,
I didn't know it was a. I
yeah,
just.
it's usually we kind of keep it private and under the table, just for professional courtesy reasons. So,
Okay.
but
Okay, I got you.
yeah, or
So you were at an event, a Comic Con of sorts. I'll have you describe that to me, where you met
sure.
a handful of celebrities, including some Star Wars people, including Emperor Palpatine and C-3PO, Anthony Daniels and Ian McDermott, I think.
Yeah,
Got that
that's
right?
correct.
Okay. Just give us all the details, how you got there, what it was like meeting them, how they were as like humans. Were they actually
Sure.
evil or
So,
robots?
I can even talk about one of my clients. See, I told you my life is very synergistic. So,
Okay.
the comic convention is actually a client of mine. I do their social media, and it's called ICCC here in Nashville, the Imperial Commissary Collectors Convention. And it's a collector focused con. So, while you go to conventions and comic cons and things like that, this one's just a little different because it's tailored more to the collector of toys, of really anything you can collect. So it's just a little bit different. So, of course, us here in the Lego corner, we're all collectors of different scales and whatnot. And there was some crazy Lego stuff there too. Like on the first night, I saw a sealed UCS ATST from 2007, sealed 2005 turbo tank on opening night. So like it was a collector's convention, but I've been working with them for several years, and in addition to the social media that I do for them all year, I also ran the photo op room, which of course is where you can come in and get your pictures with the celebrities. So I managed the photo op room, and my dad was actually the photographer. So it worked out that I got to hang out for pretty long periods of time with Anthony Daniels, who played C-3PO, Ian McDiarmid, that played the Emperor, Ashley Eckstein, that played Ahsoka, Matt
Oh.
Lanter, that played Anakin, James Arnold Taylor, that played Obi-Wan, Anna Graves, who was Duchess Satine. We had so many great celebrity guests there this year, and I can tell you everybody was super, super cool, super awesome, and down to earth. And it was a really cool experience to get to hang out with them. And I gave the Clone Wars cast Lego minifigures of
I saw
themselves, too, which
that
was
with
quite
your
cool.
and James Arnold Taylor, the guy who voices Obi-Wan in the Skywalker saga and in Clone Wars. He posted like his Insta. He posted a picture of the minifigure on the Mini Superheroes Today brick.
Isn't that wild?
That that was I was like, yo, that's awesome.
I was just beyond honored, and James was the coolest guy. If you guys ever get a chance to meet anybody I just mentioned at a con, it is worth every penny and then some. I mean, these people are living legends, and they're down to earth and as kind as they come. So, highly recommended. And yeah, just it's one of those cases where it is a good time to meet your heroes for sure.
Was there like one really cool experience you had with like one of them? Even if is there like something where you were just like it was just really awesome? Like they said something to you or like something like that?
Yeah, I can think of two. So right off the bat, well, actually three. Right off the bat, Ashley Eckstein, who voiced Ahsoka, is just the nicest, sweetest person on the planet. Just can't say enough wonderful things about her and how great she is. So that's one. James Arnold Taylor is just amazing because he just pops off voice impressions of, characters he's voiced. Like he did Marty and Doc for me. He did Johnny Test. He was the voice of Johnny Test. And he'll just snap off in these in mid conversation. And, he walked in the room and I said, hey, James, welcome to the photo op room. Great to meet you. And he goes, hello there. And it's like, oh my God.
He said the thing. That
How many people get to hear Obi-Wan say that? So that was really cool. And then hanging out with Ian McDiarmid, he started to tell stories about like behind the scenes on Star Wars that he hadn't told at the panel either. And he was talking about how fascinating it is that he's one of the only actors to play the old version of a character first
and
and then the younger version later in life. And he said when he went into Revenge of the Sith, he knew where he had to end up because he knew like where the timeline stopped. So he knew he had to end up here. And he said it was like a really cool way to descend his character into madness and kind of like let the twine unravel and become evil with every sentence that came out of his mouth. And it's like, it's one thing to hear about that, but then it's another thing to hear him talk about that in the Palpatine voice because he just used his regular voice.
Palpatine is certainly one of the most like methodical like villain. Like a lot of people like they'll say Vader's the coolest or Maul, but Palpatine was he made this grand plan, and the way George Lucas contrived his whole thing, especially in the prequels, it wasn't as cool in the sequels. It's like build a Death Star, or in the originals or the sequels, build a Death Star, build a second Death Star. But the way he did it in the prequels was fascinating, and I will never cease to amaze it. And it's really great. It just to show you how an authoritarian regime, I guess, comes to power.
Yeah, I've always felt, especially, as a young adult and not, when I was a kid, I was always like, oh man, here comes the part where, the clone troopers battle the droids. And of course, I still like that now. But as a young man, I'm able to look at them a little bit more in depth. And I see the original trilogy kind of as Vader's story, but I see the prequels almost as Palpatine's story.
Yeah.
How he's pulling the strings behind everything. And of course, the Clone Wars, shows you even more of how that went on. But yeah, it's just crazy.
I will say back to your thing on James Arnold Taylor. He sounds like a walking cartoon character of a human. Like he just sounds like a really
the coolest guy on the planet.
Energetic.
Can't say enough wonderful things about him.
He's a man who loves his job, and honestly, like if you had to choose like a celebrity status, I feel like that would honestly like be it. You're not like crazy. They're not an A-lister, but there are people out there that like really like what you do, and you can like interact with them, not on this like godlike level that some people will put certain celebrities on.
Right. That's always been my ideal level of fame. Like that you can go somewhere and, enjoy the fandom and like, have that for a weekend, but you can also still go to Target and not get mobbed, like, do you think like Paul McCartney can just go shop at Target? No, he's
no,
like,
yeah, he can. What are you talking about? No.
all right. I'd like to see him try and not get mobbed.
That would be hysterical.
Yeah.
Just sending that should be like one of those, those Vice, whenever they'll do the promotional things, they'll like do like they'll do the tests, or they'll do like with puppies. What if it just sending the celebrities into the store and asking them questions and seeing if anyone recognizes them?
That would be hysterical.
that would be great. Yeah, I'm down for that. Like I've had a few experience. I'll ask you about this. Like I've had few experiences where I've like gone to the Lego store, gone to Lego conventions, and people have recognized me. It's awesome. Everyone I've met's been just the chillest people. Have you ever had something like that? You're pretty prominent, and I want to hear the story.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it happens a good bit here at the Nashville Lego store. Of course, I live in Nashville, Tennessee. And earlier this year, I started doing toy hunting vlogs. So, Lego is obviously the primary thing I collect, but I also collect some vintage Indiana Jones, vintage Star Wars, Disney Pixar, Cars diecast, anything Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man. So, while I'm out hunting for these toys, I thought, even though my channel is primarily Lego, I'll start making some videos and talk about all the things I collect. And that's opened up to meeting other people that, like, for example, I went to Chattanooga earlier this year and like randomly was at a store and somebody recognized me there and was like, oh my gosh, recognize you from YouTube. And there's a place here up north of Nashville called Replay Toys in Hendersonville. And several months back, I'm just shopping there, and this guy and his wife went, oh my God, we came to this store because we knew it was near where you live, and we thought maybe we'd get lucky and run into you, because they're from Memphis, several hours away. And it just happened that I actually did go there. So
that's funny.
Wow. It's always a very, very cool experience, but I kind of try to view it in a different scope when I can. And I always look at it from a place of good fortune, how fortunate I am that, my channels have grown to the point of prominence that, I'm able to connect with people like that. But I think there also comes kind of a weight of responsibility. And I don't mean this to quote Spider-Man, but, we are very tied to what we put out there. Are we putting out content that inspires people, that makes them want to be a better person, a better collector, a better friend, just a better version of themselves? Or do we put content out that kind of serves the purpose of invigorating? And that's not to say that you can't, talk about hard things and that you can't address things that need to be addressed and inequities and things like that. But I just try to come from an angle of what I talked about with this Lego set. The thing that drew me to Lego in the first place was the fact that if I buy this set and I absolutely hate it, the pieces that come in this set equip me to turn it into something that I love. And this is honestly one of the only toy hobbies, I think, that allows you to do that. So to me, I'm just a huge proponent of using my Lego platform to push forward that sentiment and message that,
just have fun.
Yeah, just have fun. And even when life throws us some pretty tough curveballs, because I've been through some tough things in my life that I had to deal with as a kid, but even in the darkest days, even when we get the worst Lego set, there are still pieces inside this box that we can turn into anything to serve our creativity. And I just love to be a part of that community, and I'm very grateful to have a platform that I can spread that message. Even if I don't say it every day, the way I put forth content, I hope, conveys that level of positivity to people, and that's why I do what I do.
No, you have like just a great outlook on how you want to do stuff. I guess my mentality is I like to praise Lego when they're doing stuff that's fantastic, and sometimes if they do stuff that's dumb, I like to say, okay, this is what I don't like you're doing, please fix this.
Right.
I think Lego still, overall, if you're going to go take up all the giant corporations out there, Lego is pretty high on the list in terms of quality and customer, interaction.
Yeah.
Like generally speaking. Do they have some minor problems on the designer front? Sure. Do they have some problems in the community front? Absolutely. But overall, relatively speaking, they're pretty good. Which brings me to the next thing. So I think you said we're good to talk about this. And this is your land member. See, you saw this is going. So you're a land member. There's been a lot of controversy around them. I did a video on it. Plenty of people have been talking about it. I'm curious to hear your take. If you want to sum up the situation best to your ability, or if you want me to sum it up, whatever,
Why don't you start up and I'll respond?
Okay, so there was yet again another controversy with this, and my favorite thing is if you like go on YouTube and just search Lego Ambassador Network, it's just all these people that are upset that have either been rejected or kicked out of the Lego Ambassador Network or are having something to say to bash it, which is kind of funny. But basically the problem I'm hearing is there are some people working there that just aren't setting things up right, and they're making some derogatory comments towards content creators. And recently, someone was kicked out. This person brought out some of that information. It was Holly on Film. And you know, there's been obviously controversy with M&R Productions over him getting kicked out. So I'm curious. You're a LAN member, and you're allowed to speak on this stuff, as far as I'm aware. Like I saw, like Brixie was talking about, like, you know, he doesn't probably call them out sometimes when he should, or stuff like that. I'm curious now that you, I guess, have the platform. What do you think about all of it?
Yeah, it's really interesting to talk about. And first and foremost, Holly's amazing. What a great content creator. She's just as sweet as they come. So I'm really sorry to see the way things have panned out, and I hope that when it's all said and done, you know, we're kind of in the middle of the storm right now for her and with her. So I hope that when it all pans out, you know, the dust can settle and everybody involved in the situation can be happy with whatever the outcome is. But obviously, you know, I love Holly's content. I watch almost all of it, so you know, I hope the best for her, and you know, she's my pal, and you know, I'll leave it there. But as far as the Lego Ambassador Network, I can only give you guys my experience and my opinion, you know, and how I've been treated and how it's worked for me and my channel. So, you know, that's the beautiful thing about the Ambassador Network is having different content creators and different ambassadors will give you different perspectives. So, you know, I hope that the perspective I offer here is one that helps bring some level of clarity to anybody that may need it or want it. So with that being said, my experience has been nothing but positive, and I just have to baseline it for what it's done for my channel. You know, there's no secret that being on the receiving end of, you know, promotional early Lego sets is, you know, definitely something that I think a lot of content creators can enjoy and recognize that that's a beneficial thing. But in addition to that, the Ambassador Network has been nothing but supportive of me from the time I was onboarded, which of course is when you like come into the platform. And, you know, the program told me in my onboarding not to change anything that I do. If I buy a Lego set at the Lego store and I hate it, they want me to rip it to shreds and say how much I hate it. If I am sent a set from them and it's kind of meh to me, I'm supposed to do that too. In fact, on the day of this recording this morning, the Baby Groot embargo lifted and the Iron Man Armory lifted. And if you watch both my reviews, they're both pretty meh. I'm not really sure if either set is worth the money. And I said that in my review. And in a couple of days here, I'm going to have to fill out a report to LAN about what I thought about the sets and what my community thought. And that's what they want from us. They want us to be honest because, you know, they want to see where they can improve. That's to my understanding, a big point of the Ambassador Network is for Lego to continue to improve and for us to be a liaison between our communities and Lego. So to me, yes, I understand that the LAN is a marketing tool. I understand that. That's fine. You know, I'm a part of it, and I know that, and I'm more than happy to be a part of it. And it's been nothing but positive for me. So, you know, this isn't going to be a video where I say anything negative about another creator, another, you know, I can't say anything negative about the Lego Ambassador Network for how it's affected me to date. It's been nothing but positive. It's been a huge blessing for, you know, myself as a content creator, and I just don't have anything really bad to say about it. And I realize that there's probably going to be some people that feel like that's kind of shill compliment, but you know, can't please everybody. I just have to baseline it from my experience and how I've been treated, and you know, it's been net positive. So I don't know what else I can say beyond that.
Hey, that's totally fair. I mean, I guess my rationale is I've heard some bad actors in it. It's not necessarily that it's the program itself because of these people. Like they've just kind of made it less good. Like I've seen some of the comments, I guess, that have been made about some people. So I guess that would be the main criticism where I'd see. So if they figure out that and they like try to address it with these people, I'm certainly more warm to being, I guess, like open with this program. And do you think that it could be reformed in any way, or they could like set up a new system in regards to its work with content creators? Because I think this is one of the biggest criticisms I and many other content creators have had. Is it's structured very much towards like it feels like lugs and fan groups, and less like internet influencer communities. As you just said, it's a marketing tool. And like I know, like you, I don't know if you use affiliate marketing, but I see some of my affiliate marketing. I'm like, yeah, like people buy these sets, and we obviously have the audience that buys Lego sets specifically. So, do you think they could probably more effectively work with that? Because I feel like this program they have right now isn't geared towards content creators, especially.
So I'm going to say this. Preface with a little story.
Mm-hmm.
At the start of 2021, I started to work on some personal things that I'd been neglecting for a long time. And I realized that even though, again, at the start of 2021, I was net positive happy, my businesses were all going really well. My friends were great. My social circles were great. Things were just going really well. I realized that there was better to be had. If I put work in on myself, that would be the case. It took a long time through the year to work on several different things in different corners of my life. But today, I'm happier than I was a year ago today. Mm-hmm. And back then, I didn't think it could get any better. The point being is even when something is pretty good, it can always be better because the whole point of life is to always be improving. It's why there are, legacy music artists who are out there in their 60s and 70s still out there rocking because, yes, of course there's a financial element, but it's something in here, right? It's something that comes back to the human essence is that we should always be striving for a little bit better to push a little bit further. It's just a part of life. So good,
with
bad,
that being
negative,
said,
however you want to look at it, yes, everything can always be improved, even when it's good or, there's some criticisms to be had. So regardless of where you fall on the, spectrum or the totem pole or whatever word you want to use for that, I just think anything can always be improved. But again, I'm not really sure what else I can say that, I can always share my perspective and things have been net positive for me. So, I'm sure that some things can be improved, but like if I have to specifically speak on my end about something that could be improved for me in LAN, I really can't think of anything because my experience with LAN, how they've treated me, how their outreach has been nothing but positive, and I just don't have anything to offer beyond that. I mean, I just don't know what else I can say.
I'm curious. I've been thinking about this. Like, do you think, what if they did like an affiliate link type thing? Not that you necessarily get a percentage off of an affiliate sale, but what if they did something with I guess LAN members, where they see, okay, you get a certain amount of views or retention, we'll send you more sets based on that. Like that'll be how you, because I know they have the different tiers. They'll have tier 1, tier 2.
Yeah, I mean that already exists with the tiers, so I don't really know that they need to change that because it already exists.
No, I know. Because I haven't seen LAN members like given specific links to Lego.com. Like,
oh, I see.
That's what I mean. You get what I'm saying?
Like that tier thing. I'm not sure what their criteria is for being one tier versus another.
I'm just saying if they make a new tier system, and the tier system was based on how many conversions you get on a certain set, say, then you get moved up to tier 2 or tier 3 or tier 5 or whatever, and you get more sets based on that, or just I guess you get some sort of incentive.
I mean, I could see where that would work, but I don't really want to be speculative or. Okay.
It was just an idea.
I think it could work, but like I said, the way the platform works for my community has been nothing but net positive. So I'm not really sure what changes I would recommend making if it works. Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll follow that up. So one of the sets you got from them, and this is one I am very passionate about. Well, not sets, minifigures. Is the Muppet minifigures? You probably saw that one coming. So you did a full video. It was great. There he is, Kermit. Oh, I have two of them down there, and I have my whole Muppet collection over there.
Yeah.
I have a problem. Either way. So my question to you, you got like a whole box, you did a great review, you actually mapped out in the box, like which one is where in the box. That was great, very useful for, it's not useful to me because I'm just going to buy a whole box. But it's useful to people who just want to get like a set. I'm a crazy person, I'll admit that. I'm a recovering Muppaholic, I guess. So what are your thoughts on that CMF? I'm curious, like is there anything good, anything bad about it? Like I want to know.
Yeah, I love the Muppets theme. It was really cool. I mean, I have to admit that I'm not the biggest Muppets fan. I didn't really grow up with them. I just kind of like them for the pop culture icons that they are. But yeah, I mean, I thought the figures turned out really great. Obviously, my channel is based a lot on Purist Customs, so there's a lot of good pieces in there. For the Purist Custom line of things. So yeah, it was an awesome series.
Yeah. So back to, you said you have like a TikTok, and so you have your YouTube channel, you have your Instagram, and you have your TikTok. You're at like 60,000 on YouTube. What are you at on TikTok? I don't have TikTok pulled up.
Somewhere in like the mid 120,000 range, like 126, 127, something like that. 127,000, of course. Yeah.
TikTok's fascinating. Because like I don't really like I don't want to say I don't put quality in it, or like don't put effort into my TikToks, but relative to YouTube, the amount of like work that goes into editing and putting together things, you get like an insane amount of views, and I just kind of find it a fascinating platform. It's like for every, I guess, like one subscriber you get on YouTube, it's 10 on TikTok. Would you say that's like a fair?
Well, I mean, I'm not really sure.
Because I don't know. Do you get the same level of fan community from TikTok that you do from YouTube? I guess.
Kind of, sort of. I will say that on YouTube, so I read all of my comments on a video for the first 48 hours. There's not enough time in the day to respond to everybody, but I do read everything on every video for the first 48 hours for that video. So, when people leave suggestions or feedback, even if I don't reply, I do read it. I can't say the same for TikTok, only because things move so fast on TikTok. I try to, but, I put that out there as a mission statement for YouTube, and I just don't know for a TikTok that I could say exactly the same. But, yeah, I mean, it's an awesome platform. I think it's really cool, too, that it's allowed for almost another parallel line of influence, in that, there are people who are huge on YouTube that aren't huge on TikTok, and vice versa. There are people that are millions of followers on TikTok and not as big on YouTube. It's not to say there's anything wrong with one or the other. It's just fascinating that, some people's content style, speaking style, videography style works better on one platform than another. And I just think, again, going back to my social media corner of my triangle, it's really cool to see people thrive in different lanes and, figure out what works for them.
Yeah, it's insane. So I was talking to Matt Mellish, you know him, right? He's on TikTok. Yeah. I was talking to him about this. So he likes TikTok because he wants to make a highly edited video, but he can only he can't do that for a full 8 minutes. He could do it for like 30 seconds, which is, I think, why he did it. I think that's how he described it to me. And he's just very precise in the way he does stuff. Now, I find it difficult because you and I both are primarily, I'd say, more YouTube focused. Would you agree with that, I guess?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, it used to be all Instagram or bust for me for years, but I spend more time per week, making YouTube content than any other platform. So yeah, I'd say that's fair.
So with us, like, I don't know if you noticed, like, because I joined TikTok, like, oh, okay, I'm curious to see how I'll do on here. I'm kind of inconsistent. I'll like do like a spurt of like 5 videos and not do anything for like 3 weeks. I guess you're more consistent, obviously, because you have 120,000 followers to keep entertained.
I try to do a couple a week.
Yeah.
The Gary Vee mentality is to do like 3 to 5 a day. I'm one guy making content for 3 platforms, and just 1 to 3 a day is kind of hard for me.
And you also have a job and music and
Yeah, so I'm happy with the way it's growing, at the pace it's growing, and you know, I'm happy with that. So I'll leave it at that.
And Gary V, he's an interesting fella.
Yeah.
So have you found it like difficult to like make this fast form content? Like because you're used to doing, I guess, not slow form, but like you're able to stretch out a custom minifigure tutorial in anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes.
Well, honestly, most of them are under 2 minutes. Most of my custom figures. Like,
I'm sorry, I was looking at Doctor Strange becoming the other Doctor Stranges, and that was like 5 minutes. So
yeah, well, that has multiple figures.
Yeah, I know. That was my bad.
You're good. No worries. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I've always been a relatively short form creator. I don't know. It's kind of funny because I don't know how long we've been talking at this point, but I can talk longer. I just feel when it comes to content, I just kind of want to get to the point and then let you get on to the next video, whether that's mine or somebody else's. So, I don't know. That's just always been the way I operate.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I like to. I think that there's something I've seen where it's like you usually in a story you have an introduction, like a central and a conclusion. The thing in YouTube videos I've learned, you have to like basically like make the introduction a 10-second thing. You also almost have to make it an elevator pitch. You can't do these long drawn out introductions anymore, like a lot of people used to do, where you do introduce yourself and then you do your whole subscriber plug and then you get into the meat of the video and then you do that and then you do a full. You need to make both of those things at max 15 seconds, the beginning and the end.
Yeah, we as viewers have definitely, we want shorter videos, but people will watch a longer video that has entertainment value or, just has value. I mean, I know that's a very cliche thing to say, but, people are trading their attention and time for your content, and you just have to continually, give them something to come back for, and once they get there, something to stay for, so.
Absolutely. I find like with some videos, it's hard to get an entire introduction in within 15 seconds. Like the other day, I was doing my 2023 Star Wars set predictions because these rumors come out early. I've heard 1 or 2 rumors, so I'm like, okay, this is going to get out soon. So I want to do my predictions video. And like, because basically I like to set ground rules. So I'm like, okay, so there's a lot of potential for this X, Y, and Z, and it's just very hard to get stuff down into that quick form, I guess. So like, have you had problems like trying to cram in information like that?
I can't say I have. I just say what comes to mind. I don't script any of my videos. I just kind of say it as I see it, and roll on.
Well, yeah, that's fair. I mean, you don't really do too many commentary videos. I guess I do a handful. Like, I'll do news and that sort of stuff. So I need to outline. But you're doing...
Yeah, most of mine are for, like, news. But even then, I just kind of look at the images and kind of give first impressions as I talk to them. I basically, like, barely look at the images when I download them. And then when I hit record, I'm looking at them a little bit more in depth and giving as much of or as close to a first impression as I possibly can. But, yeah.
Yeah. So like, because I feel like you have a lot of Marvel stuff, and just generally speaking, superheroes. Your name is Superheroes Today. So would you say that's your primary focus is Marvel and superheroes broadly? Like, if you had to choose a primary focus, like you're in land, so they ask you, what do you want? You're going to say Marvel?
Yeah, I can't remember if land breaks it down by like Marvel or DC. I honestly can't remember if I ever had to specify which one. I think it's just superheroes in general. So, but yeah, superheroes is definitely my focus of my channel. But Indiana Jones is actually my favorite theme ever. But,
really? You must be excited for next year then. They're bringing that back.
Yeah, I've reviewed every single Lego Indiana Jones set they ever made. Even the Comic-Con set, I own that. And
they have
I made
some controversial indie sets.
So I've reviewed every single one that they ever made. So I'm ready.
That's nuts. Yeah, they have some controversial ones in there, right? Certain war vehicles
won't get made again, but
yeah. I find it so fascinating. I still can't get over the whatchamacallit. What was the one called? The jet, the plane. You know what I'm talking about, right?
The flying wing.
No, no, not Indy. The Technic one, the one,
Oh, the Osprey.
the Osprey. Because the more I learned about that, I realized that's not even the military version of the
Huh.
plane. So people were
I,
protesting.
I never really followed that set. I just know it got canceled. I
Have you
never.
heard? This is fascinating. So this was a set. It was just a set. They released it in stores, and there was some guy that went outside of a Lego store wearing a Lego like head, and he wore like this anti-war like fatigue
Mhm.
on him. And this caused Lego to pull every set from all of the stores because it got some minor media outlets picked it up and said Lego's promoting war. And the thing that's great, this set wasn't even a military version of the helicopter. It was just some like regular vehicle. So like this would be the equivalent of a Hummer. So if Lego made a UCS Hummer set, and people were protesting it because it was promoting war. Now they're not promoting Humvees; they're just doing a regular like one of the new electric Hummers or something. That's the equivalent of what this whole situation was, and I find it hysterical.
Yeah, I never followed that story. That's kind of interesting to hear. That's wild.
Yeah, so it's like that fascinates me. Like if I just stood outside of a Lego store, and I just protested like one of the sequel sets, like the Pose Junior X-wing, would they get rid of it? Say it's a war or something like war vehicle.
I think people underestimate the difference one person can make. Hopefully, people take that as a positive.
And hey, now that set, everyone who did buy it, it's worth thousands of dollars. So they're funding some nice people's college tuition. Maybe, I don't know. um,
It pays for like 10 minutes of class.
yes, it's great. So I guess finally, I guess I'd want to ask, what are your plans for the future? What do you want to do with, I guess, your entire online career? What do you want to do with life? Just, I want to know. We started with where you started. Where do you want to go?
Yeah, so it's obviously amazing that so much content is being pumped out. So many Lego sets are being pumped out. We've got Kenobi coming up this weekend. We've got all the Marvel shows coming out.
This weekend?
All the Marvel movie. We've got DC back on the docket later this year. So, there's just no shortage of fun pop culture things to be talking about and how it impacts the world of Lego. And I'm developing something pretty big for my channel that I had the idea in 2020, and unfortunately it couldn't be done for, restriction reasons.
Yeah.
And then in 2021, the world was still kind of getting back on its feet. It's like, not quite the right time yet, but I'm working on something pretty big that I'm excited about, and I can't wait. I just can't say anything more than that. That's
Okay.
the only thing. I can share this though, that I'm writing a book. I'm in the early writing a book, so that's going to be fun.
I want a
Working
signed
on
copy. You need to promise me a signed copy. I'll pay for it. I just want a signed copy.
All right. Sounds like a plan. It's going to be about, unlocking creativity and how to kind of apply creativity into your life, either professionally or personally.
Wow.
And kind of talk about the lost art of how we've diminished creativity and how we tell ourselves we're not creative when we really are, and how to lean into that and unlock that more on a daily basis. So
That's kind of fascinating. Do you think that this is, I know we were going to round off, but this spurs a whole thought. So, do you see a problem? And like, I saw this with the Alvin and the Chipmunks movie. You did some videos on it, so I know you've seen it. They were like the whole movie was essentially a meta joke about how they do reboots. But to be honest with me, the joke didn't really land because the thing itself was a reboot. So it doesn't matter how much you make fun of it; it's still a reboot. So do you think like this whole culture of like these like movies were made to, I basically replicate books and replicate these different stories? Now the first generation of movies were great. Then you get into like the 70s, 80s, and you have like Star Wars. I love Star Wars, obviously, but that was obviously like basically retelling of movies. They'll all tell you that these are based off of different movies, and they'll take different scenes and try to make it into Star Wars genres of movie, make it into like Star Wars and stuff like that. And now we're in like so further separated. Now we're just making movies. Making movies about movies type of a thing. I don't know. and we're just getting into a point where it's like we're doing all sequels now and all reboots and stuff. They just did a new Mission Impossible. I don't know. Do you think that has a problem with lack of creativity, since you seem to be writing up on this, or?
Yeah, I'll kind of come at this from two angles. So first off, I wish I could remember who originated this theory, but if you're interested in this concept, it's a quick Google search away. There's a theory that there's only like 7 different types of stories that can be told, and I'm not really sure what it is off the top of my head. Like I said, if that interests you, you could Google it and read more. But I think that there's a cyclical nature to the kind of stories we tell in any media, books, whatever the case may be. So I think that that's a little bit of it. With things kind of coming back around again. But on the flip side, I don't think it's so much that there's a lack of creativity out there because, look at something like the Loki series from Marvel. That was so different from anything Marvel's done to date, but it still kind of fits in the MCU. It still progresses the Universal story along. So, that's just an example of like another franchise piece being added, but it is really fresh and different. But to that point, it's still a part of a giant, decade plus long series of something. So what I really think it is I think that studios are less inclined to take risks these days, and they know that another sequel is going to make more money because the first one made money, and that rebooting this and bringing back that and it's just a proven way to print money. And I mean, if you, in your personal life, found out that if you went to a vending machine and pressed the right buttons in the right order, it would give you a $1 bill every time you did it, why would you ever go and try to press any different button? You know exactly what's going to give you money when you do it, and these studios know that. So I think that we'll get back to a place of creativity eventually. I don't know how long that will be. And again, it's not to say that, these movies aren't creative, because like I said with Loki, that series blew my mind. I think about it all the time. But I think we'll get back to a place where people are seeking out more independent film and things of that nature. Like there's so many great ones that come out. Like what's the one I'm thinking of? Like Get Out, for example. Like Get Out came out of nowhere, and now it's kind of spawned its own little franchise of these kind of independent one-off horror movie kind of things. And I like to see that from like a creator that has kind of a consistent vision for what they're putting out. So I think that we're starting to see that sprout up a little bit, but time will tell.
Do you think it's gonna take like people getting bored of, say, the MCU or like things like that for it to kind of progress? Okay, people aren't seeing all of our new movies. Nobody liked Miss Marvel or She-Hulk or whatever. We need to go back to either go back to the original formula, and if that doesn't work, then just kind of give up on it, come back to it in 10 years. Kind of like almost what they did with Star Wars, where Star Wars, like, people are like, okay, we didn't like the prequels that much. Then they come back to it with the sequels. People don't like it that much. They're waiting a couple more years till they do another movie. And in 2018, I think that's honestly the best example, because you had the Last Jedi come out the year before. People weren't really big on it. And then immediately after that, like 4 or 5 months later, like it's just getting out of theaters, you have Solo come out, it bombs. Do you think we're in that kind of situation where just people will get fatigued like they did with those movies?
I don't know. It's so hard to say. I wrote a report on superhero fatigue in college when I was graduating, so that would have been 2018. And, from the interviews I did and, like, the data correlation online, all indicators I found said that people were not fatigued on superhero movies. And that was 4 years ago now. And, you look at the box office numbers that, like, No Way Home pulls in, Doctor Strange, it's not like the box office hype is slowing down at all. So I don't think we're there yet. I'm not sure when and where that'll be, but what I'll say is people like good movies. Yeah, that's just all it boils down to. Whether it's a part of a franchise, it's a one-off. People like good movies, and
I will say if they go the route of, I'd say, the original MCU, if they stick to, generally speaking, that, if they stick to Guardians, maybe do that sort of stuff. But they need to backtrack. I feel a little like with the Multiverse of Madness movie. I'm like, what was that? Like the multiverse stuff. I think they're starting to lose people. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm the only one out there lost. But the amount of mental gymnastics you have to go through, and the amount of stakes you have to take away to establish a multiverse. I just feel like it's like it works for in certain circumstances. It's great when you do it in Spider-Man and you bring in the other Spider-Men. But then you just start, oh, here's an alternate version of Doctor Strange, or like it just kind of feels like you just take away stakes a little bit, maybe. Like, oh, we just go back and fetch Iron Man whenever we so desire, just through some plot devicey mechanism.
I think it's a tough thing because I think if you're up on all the series, it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Like. Did you see all of Loki, for example?
I have seen every piece of Marvel except for The Incredible Hulk, which I have on my list, and I didn't finish Moon Knight. I just got bored by like the middle of the second episode, and I don't get bored with shows usually, but I got bored with that one.
First, I just think that like Loki really helps kind of set the stakes for that, especially with like the cliffhanger ending and everything.
Was that the one with the full finale where it's just the guy expositing information?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe we just have different opinions, but yeah. I'm excited to see where it goes. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be really interesting, and Marvel hasn't let me down yet. So I'm excited.
I am curious to see where they're going to go with it. And yeah,
the way I look at it is this: we live in a very difficult world, and I mentioned earlier I've been through some difficult things in my life that I've really had to kind of work in and work through, and I just say that I can't really think of a time I've left a Marvel MCU movie feeling worse about myself, worse about the world. It brings a community together. It helps us, set aside differences and be able to talk about a common love we have. And, for me, that community just means so much. And even when a movie's kind of mid-tier, it still gives us something to not talk about the tough things going on in the world. And, I love it. And again, it all comes back to this set. It's just, it's not so much what we're given, it's what we do with it. And it's how we view the world and the lens we choose to view the world with. And I try to view it with, as much positivity and hoping to spread as much positivity as possible. So, those movies do it for me, and I'm sure that if Marvel isn't your jam, that there's something else out there that does it for you too. That's just the essence of life.
Well, that's a great way to end off. That's a really good way of looking at things. I will agree with it, except every movie except Eternals. Can we make that caveat?
Except which one?
Eternals.
Not my favorite.
All right. Well, thank you, Mini Superheroes Today. You guys can check him out on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatnot, apparently.
The Whatnot sale tomorrow night, Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m. Central Time.
Okay, well, if this is uploaded by then, that will be great. But either way, Mini Superheroes Today, thank you so much for popping on. See you guys on the next one. Peace out. Stay awesome.
See you, buddy.
All right. That went well.
Cool. What do you think?
You did great. You answered every question perfectly.